What is going on, everybody? Bingo here. I'm with the Duel Factory again for this week's episode of X2 Drop. So, for you avid listeners out there, you'll notice there was no video or podcast posted last week, and that's because, it took a little while for my stuff to arrive in California, where I moved to, but we're back on track, and we should be pretty much back to normal schedule. So if you want updates like that, or you just want to talk to us, outside podcast time, feel free to check out the Discord. The link's always in the description. Got a lot of good memes going back and forth in there. People jumping in duel rooms to play. So if you want somewhere to hang out outside of the 1 day a week you usually hear from us, go check out the Discord. If you want more of the Duel Factory, he posts videos fairly regularly. YouTube.com/The Duel Factory. He just uploaded a pretty good Dogmatica Invoke deck profile. He's getting new equipment and new everything, so he should be pumping out a lot more quality content as he gets those things. So I think that's about it. And for anybody actually watching the video, my setup's all jank right now. My webcam's not set up right. It's just you got what you got. But Joe, you got anything before we kick this?
Nah, I got nothing.
All right, so this week's topic is just going to be one of the blanket new format discussions. Everybody likes to do these because it's something new to talk about in the game. It kind of ban list breathes life into this game, changes up the deck triangle or whatever we're in for the top decks. And this ban list was very light but very effective, right? Everybody wanted to see VFD gone. Some of us have wanted to see it gone for years because it was just a matter of fucking time before that thing became a pain in everybody's ass. There's a couple other changes. We'll briefly talk on like every hit on the ban list, just like how we feel about it, if it was necessary or what they missed. But then we'll get into the best decks of the format or what we feel is a strong contender going forward. So, Joe, thoughts on the topic and everything?
Well, I mean, new ban list, kind of new meta. It's kind of exciting. I'm kind of pumped for it. I'm ready to play. Yeah, not a whole lot of like general stuff before we get into it.
All right, so with the ban list, obviously there were very minimal hits. Do you feel like it was enough? It was good. Like what were your initial thoughts? Obviously, scrolling down to VFD feels pretty good. But
not gonna lie, I was super hyped when I saw Calamities go, because now we can actually play the game of Yu-Gi-Oh, and it actually like opens up deck building a lot more than what we were at, because like the VFD is just like no to like monster effects, and like it's chainable, and like all these cards that you had to play in like anticipation of the card, and now that it's gone, it's deck building is actually enjoyable for a change. Something that I will notice specifically with that card being gone from some of the decks I saw this week is like the lack of hand traps and stuff like that too. So like it's just a good feeling seeing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's one of those cards that very, very restricts the playability of the top decks, and you really have to build around. Can I be a turn 1 VFD or turn 1 double VFD? Like, what do I do? Very limits just the thought process. Like, Virtual World in itself is a very cool deck on paper, but like because it can do so much. But when it's just how many times can I make VFD? Like that's really not fun for anybody. Like, I want to see what happens to Virtual World if it does become a hand loop deck that I hate even more, or if it becomes like this cool niche toolbox deck. Whatever happens to, I'm pretty excited.
I think it still does cool stuff right now, but like I said, it doesn't have like the unfair like I auto win button anymore. So
yeah. We'll see if it's a consistent enough threat to the meta, because you do still need quite a few pieces to play, and once your engine's online, like it's never going to get shut off pretty much, it feels like. But is the payoff worth it? Because right now it might not be, but do you feel like they kind of overreached on hitting Drytron this early?
I don't know if they overreached or anything like that, because like cards like Ben 10 are like just like time bombs waiting to happen, right? Like sooner or later, something is going to happen that put Ben 10 to 1, which is like, and Drycon happened, right? Like, not necessarily that was like the end all be all, but that was like probably one of the key factors. That being said, even though that was like we'll say an indirect hit, there's some. I've seen a couple Drytron players. They started playing like the Vendread engine in the deck now to like kind of replace it, and they have some crazy cards in there, like Battle Lord being essentially Shockmaster, and then not to mention like with the new not this set, but the next set coming for our main set, we get that rank 1 Drytron monster that I think catapults the deck back to being tier 1. Because like right now with like one Ben 10 and then like what you have, I think it's like a tier 1.5 deck. But the XYZ I think makes all the difference.
Yeah, and I was going to say I do think it's some good preemptive house cleaning on Konami's part, because they don't need all of those tools once they do get those new cards. Like it could be a little bit overbearing, so at least now it's not just going to instantly be this insane deck. So I'm happy to see that. I honestly don't remember what else. Oh, Union Carrier, right?
Okay, look, I'm like sad and like happy at the same time that like Union Carrier is gone. Mainly one, because I really wanted to play some EBC, Jesus Christ, ABC with Pot of Prosperity, but your one card Infinity Buster is now gone because Union Carrier is gone. But to be fair, Union Carrier could do some busted stuff, like really busted, and it's also another indirect hit to Drytron. But I mean, it was bound to happen, right? Like something else was just gonna come out and make the card like ban-worthy again.
Yeah, Union Carrier. Like you said, I'm a little bit polarized on it because right now it's not doing anything like noteworthy degenerate, but it just takes the right deck to like completely break that card. And I like what it does. I like what it can do, but it's a little bit too generic. Like pull literally anything out of your deck. We've seen it. Adamancipator, Black Dragon. We've seen the Buster Lock. We've seen it do some degenerate stuff. So it had to go. It was a little bit earlier than I thought it would, to be honest.
It's such a cool card too in design, so that's why it's kind of a shame, but at the same time, like I get it.
Yeah, and my only complaint with the ban list is it was a very housekeeping thing, right? It just wanted to level out the metagame. We just didn't get any fun new toys to play with, right? Nothing exciting came off the ban list. Nothing like that made me want to go out and play some bad deck because I got a new card back, right?
Yeah,
that's my only complaint.
You didn't get any bombs like Electromite, or less. Like, to be fair, if Electromite would have came back, I would have played some Pendulum. That sounds like super fun.
Yeah, Pendulum. I'm just waiting to be able to play Pen Magicians, like actual Pen Magicians with Electrum and fucking Double Iris again.
I don't even know necessarily if I played Pen Magician. It's like
that's like just what I want.
Yeah, no. If Electromite came back, and then we also got all those new Metalfield cards, like that'd be like super cool because like you could actually play those cards. But I don't know, man. It's kind of hit or miss for me.
Yeah.
I tell you one thing that does upset me about this ban list, though, and I'm sure you've been probably thinking about it too. The lack of hit of Miscellaneousaurus.
Yeah, that's kind of annoying. Misc can be a problem, but I don't think. Losing to Dino just doesn't feel good because you know in your heart it's not a good deck, right? You know.
Go ahead.
You know that deck is just it's a one-trick pony. Like it doesn't really do anything super cool. Like when the Dino Master Fury structure deck came out, I was super excited for the cards because like UTC is a hell of a card, but like I don't know. It's not exciting. It's not fun. It's not interesting. That's my biggest problem with Dino. So, I think Dino is just going to naturally get checked by power creep and the metagame, and I don't think they need to address it right now.
So here's the thing, right? We're probably going to get a lot of very angry replies to this one, and you know what? That's okay. But I'm of the personal belief that Dinos is in what I like to call the buy. Now, don't get me wrong, Miscellaneousaurus is one hell of a card. I really, really believe that. The problem is like you said, like it gets naturally checked, right? And unfortunately, Dino is the victim of every single high-impact hand trap of this format of the exception of Nibiru, the Primal Being, because Miscellaneous Source does protect it from it. Not only that, but it also becomes a victim of side decking patterns here, so we're going to see how that goes.
Good.
But
Dino is one of those decks that can just straight up steal the game from you, right? Like you're playing a little bit conservative, or you don't want to overextend game one because you don't know what your opponent's playing, and then you just get fucking smacked in the face by WTC,
absolutely.
And you just lose. But post game one, it's like Dino is probably one of the easiest decks to deal with. It's just do you draw decent?
Here's the last thing I'll put in on Dino. I think it's like one of those decks that's like it's the same as like Evil Swarm back when that came out. It is only as good as its best matchup, right? Now that being said, a lot of people are talking about how Dragon Link is the best deck right now, and Dino is just the best check to the Dragon Link deck. So right now, I think it's going to be a really, really good deck. But if the meta changes like I think it does, because I personally think at some point Bird Ups is going to be the best deck, then I don't think Dino becomes a very good deck because I think it's a very easy matchup. But I don't know.
Yeah, so enough wasting our breath talking about Dino for now. We'll probably double back to it. But we got the ban list discussion out of the way. Just off the top of your head, going forward, let's say you're going to locals next weekend, new format, what do you want to play to be the best deck in the room?
Oh, for my personal thoughts, if I was going to go to a local and I was going to play and I wanted to play the best deck, I'm probably playing some form of dolls, whether it's Dogmatica dolls, if it's Invoke Shaddoll, like something like that. Because now, like we were talking about earlier, with VFD gone from the format, now my Shaddoll fusion has just become infinitely more crazy. Because I think one of the glaring flaws, even though like we saw like a lot of popularity in the deck, I think one of the glaring flaws that deck had initially is because Shaddoll fusion is such a powerful card, but it's so lackluster against VFD because it basically makes it to where you're fusing with vanilla monsters, even though you're fusing straight from the deck. I think now that that's gone, your card effects are even more crazy, and then you pair it with cards like Magical Meltdown that gets Educated Man's Dante. You feel me? Like, your monsters are not only resolving, they're resolving uninterrupted, and you're just like in such an advantageous game state at that point where that deck, it's just gonna steal games naturally because of the unfairness of these cards being put together. And I genuinely think that might actually be the best deck.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that because I feel like Shaddoll Invoked pretty much got its chance to shine taken away from it, right? It was like becoming one of, if not the best deck, like right as COVID was happening, events were getting canceled, like we didn't get to experience all these new cards in like a setting where it favored them. And then Crystron, Hauka Fibrax came out, Adamancipator, Eldritch came out. And like when you're playing online tournaments, everyone just drops the old shit and plays the new ones. So it's kind of been forgotten about, and it just had some bad matchups. Like no one wants to go back to it. So I am super excited to see some Shaddoll fusion resolving.
That card is crazy. That's like 5 chain links right there.
Yeah, and like I feel like Shaddoll Invoked is one of those decks like you have to know what you're doing. Like the plays might not be the most complicated, but sequencing is very important. So your average player might not pick it up because they don't know the best way to break let's say a Dragon Link board without basically wasting their resources. So
absolutely.
I think that deck is super good. Is it the best deck in the room? I'm not really sure because I'll be honest. It could be any of the decks. It's just whichever one you're most comfortable with because I don't think there's a clear distinction in power level in the top couple of decks right now.
Oh no, not at all. Honestly, if you were going to pick up a deck and you want to pick up like a competent combo deck right now, I think Dragon Link's the way to go too.
Yeah,
it just depends on what you're feeling though.
Yeah, Dragon Link was pretty damn good last format, and that was with VFD. So that is, in my opinion, that's the best like just straight up combo deck because you're just looking to pop off every single turn, right? Every single first turn. So
yeah,
it's your traditional build-a-board combo deck, and if that's what you're into, Dragon Link's the way to go. I don't think there's a better option right now.
No, it's like it's one of those things. So I think it's like most of the community. We're gonna say a decent chunk of it, like 60% of it, is what I'm gonna say. And this is just me spitballing, so please don't crucify me for that. But I would say they think that that's the best deck, and like they're right to believe that. It's all it is a simple 1 to 2 card combos. Any 2 dragons, usually your full combo. It can main if you want to. It can main deck like 12 hand traps and still like not like ruin the consistency of the actual engine itself. It does put up some nasty boards. Like what is it? I was watching one player put up a Savage, Sandathon, Hot Red, and then the Heretic Seal, and that was just like bonkers. Like that's a board. And then it just has really, really good matchups across the board. Like it doesn't like hard lose to anything other than Dino. So I mean, like that right now, I think because of the format being like so like undefined, I think that's going to be the best deck. But I do think at a later point it is going to get phased out.
Yeah, like we've seen it dozens of times at this point. Those combo decks thrive at the turn of a format before it's figured out the builds, the hand traps, and like what people want to play. They just thrive because if they don't have the answer, like the nail in the coffin in the side deck that becomes a staple 3 weeks from now, you're just going to steal games because they don't have an answer to your board. So Dragon Link is a very strong pick right now. Shaddoll, what else we got? Let's talk Eldritch, right? Let's shift to like the heavy control side of things. I know you're not the biggest fan of this deck, but what do you think about it right now?
I think the deck sucks. I really do. Like I was like, so a couple weeks ago, like I just really wanted to play like trap cards. I'm like, you know what, Eldritch seems like a really cool trap deck. You get to play trap cards, it can do some cool combos, and like the traps like replace themselves, right? But like when I was playing it, and this was before the ban list happened, like your interactions are like super lackluster. Like, yeah, your trap cards are replacing themselves, but like that's during the end phase, which is already slow. And then on top of that, it's just like 1-for-1 trades. Now, in a simplified game state, the deck is really good, but like going seconds, I don't think the deck's very good. If you play like certain variants of it, like the Zoo Eldritch deck is probably the best way to play it, and that's the version I haven't played yet, so I could very well change my opinion on that. But like it just it's I don't think it's good enough as a standalone. It has to be mixed with something else, or you're just not going to get the results you want. But I think it's an okay contender. Just me personally, I don't think it's worth for what you could play. I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, I haven't had much hands-on experience with the deck. I've watched a lot of it, and it's a very weird deck because like nothing is crazy good. I was just talking with somebody about this the other day. It's like even if you wanted to hit Eldritch, like how do you hit the deck without killing it, right? Because like none of the cards are crazy good. None of them are like the best card in the deck. They're all like pretty mediocre. It's just they're consistent. It grinds for days. Like you would have to like legitimately hit Golden Lord, and that would just kill the deck. So like, it's. I personally, I wouldn't pick up a Eldritch deck to play it unless I'm just trying to spice up my Zoo deck, because that's just what I would do. It just doesn't seem too strong. Like, yeah, you can get wins. You can get wins with any fucking deck, but it doesn't make it, a top contender. So, just my thoughts.
Well, I try to say, okay. So let's talk about this real quick. You know what I think, specifically because VFD's now gone. You know what deck I think becomes tier 1?
What, Zoo?
Zoo. 100%.
I was just going to bring that up.
Zeus is a fucking crazy card, and what deck makes it better than Zoo? Holy shit.
Yeah, I was just going to ask. Zeus is going to be a problem down the road.
Bro, that is going to be insane.
That is one of the craziest boss monsters like ever printed. And we say that a lot, but like genuinely, it's stupid easy to summon. Like I honestly don't think it's ban worthy. But having multiple copies of Zeus just to end on every turn and forcing your opponent to deal with non-destructive sends of the entire board over and over again, that's just going to eventually become a problem.
Bro, this is crazy. You know what? This is why, like, I think it's so crazy, right? Because think about it. Zoo traditionally is a very small engine, right? You just need one zoo monster to play. That's it. Just one.
Yeah, one zoo monster
Now,
equals Zeus.
when you're deck building now, look at all the room you have for like hand traps, actual interaction cards. Like, what was it? And then one of the cool this build actually became popular, and you're gonna hate me for saying that because it's not actually what you think it is. But people were playing the Sky Striker build of it that was just playing like 3 Widow Anchor and 3 what's the card called?
Eagle Booster.
Eagle Booster.
Yeah.
And like, could you? I haven't done this yet, and I'm sure it feels like chewing an entire pack of fucking 5 gum. But can you imagine summoning a Zeus in the extra monster zone, activate the effect, your opponent goes to stop it, and you're just like chain Eagle Booster. And then on top of that, you have 3 spells in the graveyard, so they can't even run the Zeus over by battle. Yep. Oh, doesn't that sound clean? Oh my god, that sounds so clean.
Zeus and Zoo, whether it's an engine mixed with something pure, I don't know if pure Zoo is good enough, just because like not having 3 barrage sucks, and like 3 rat or 3 whiptail, 3 thoroughblade, 1 rat, 1 bunny blast, 3 ram, 3 tanky. Like it sounds like a lot of zoo cards, but like you still very easily could not open one.
Oh yeah, I mean that's gonna happen regardless. But like, oh man, it's so good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. We're gonna see how that actually goes, because like I didn't see any, like I saw some of it, but there were like zoo Eldritch builds and stuff like that in the LCS. But I'm really hoping people are like, man, we really should just play pure, and then they just play like those cards in it. And like, it's card deck's so good, and I think it just gets better over time, especially with like as we see like how broken of a card Zeus is. I
don't know. I feel like Zeus should all match up is pretty bad, so they might have to just shift to like a Eldritch build just to help with that, because
probably
should all does struggle with like Eldritch a little bit.
I can only imagine like having a Zeus, but then like your opponent activates Meltdown and then they activate Shaddoll Fusion, and like your opponent doesn't change Zeus for some god-forsaken reason, and then like they just make an app clone and just bully your Zeus. Sage.
Yeah, that's just free real estate. So
Zoo's gonna be crazy.
So if I went to a locals, I would bring some form of zoo. Virtual World, like I said, I wouldn't waste my time playing it. I would wait for some fanboy that doesn't want to drop it to figure out a competent list and see where the deck's going to go.
The funny thing is about the deck, I think the lists stay the same. You just change your end board. Like, it can do some cool stuff. Like, some of them I see are playing Muddy Mud Dragon to make Dragoon now, and I think that's kind of cool, but I don't know how they're getting there.
Yeah, and you do have the extra deck space because you're obviously not playing VFD anymore. Hand looping is super not fun, so if that's where the deck goes, it can go die in a hole.
Oh, wow.
Drytron, I think, is dead in the water until it gets the new cards. Like, there's going to be people playing it because that's just how people are, but I don't think it's going to be a real threat until we get the new cards. And then Dino, what else we got?
What was the other one?
Dogmatica Invoked. It's just like, that's like a tier 2 deck.
I think the Dogmatica engine's so clean right now because you can mix it with so many things. Plus, like, especially now with, again, Calamity's being gone, like, Nadir Servant is actually crazy. Oh, but Aaron brings up a good one. So there's the Dogmatica engine, but then there's the Bird Up deck, which I think as the format progresses, that is just going to be the best deck.
Bird Up is such a cool deck. Like, I've watched so much of that play, and I don't know if I want to jump on it now, but I just really like the way it plays. Like, I like the artwork. Like, Narval's super cool. What's that one card? Jack in the Hand. Like, I don't know if they'll still play that, but that card is hilarious that it's even being considered as an engine piece.
That card's kind of scary.
Could you imagine? Yeah, but if Bird Up becomes like a good deck and like 30% of your matchups are mirrors, could you imagine giving your opponent a starter?
Oh, that would be awful. You were like, I activate Jack in the Hand. They're like, oh, cool, I'll take this call. What was it? It's not Cobalt. I know actually, it might be the Cobalt Sparrow. You're like, oh shit, because you see that shit-eating grin that hits his face, and he's got the gas to back. Oh,
Yeah.
sick.
And
But like,
that deck's so cool. It's playing like Kinkabayo and I don't know.
it plays a lot of cool old school cards. And then I'm not gonna lie, like especially like because all I've done is fishbowl with it. It kind of gives me like when Zoo came out vibes because like they're just all 1-card starters and they just end on the nuts. So I mean, there's that.
I don't know. It kind of like there's very little similarities, but like the Lunalight deck, I feel like it's kind of like that. You know, it's under the radar. Like nobody's giving it the time of the day, but it can do a lot of cool stuff. And like,
Yeah.
if you don't,
Can we talk about how
how you didn't get Tiger back?
Oh, I didn't get a Tiger back. I'm so upset. I wanted that card so bad, but I mean, I understand, but I'm still upset.
Yeah, and jumping back to the ban list, that really is my biggest complaint right now because we got to wait 4 more months for the next list, right? It's July 1st, and that's assuming we get it right away. Like, just give us some bad card that you know is not going to make waves, but it's going to excite people. Like, they could have brought Blaster back for all I care. Like, that's going to do nothing.
Unchain the Chain, still big advocate.
No, this would be like the worst time to unchain the chain, man.
Could you imagine? Yo, we just banned VFD, but here's Shockmaster.
Yeah, that's like, no thanks, man.
They're like literally looking at you like, I don't see. They'd be like, HR needs you to spot the difference between these 2 cards. They're the same.
Yeah, they're literally the same. Shockmaster is like Shockmaster, fucking Sky Striker player for spells. Like,
oh, that poor soul. He's like, oh, you thought you were gonna play? Not today.
He's like normal summon Ray. Pass.
Bro, could you imagine? You're like, your opponent's just doing these cards, and all of a sudden they're like, Shockmaster, activate spell. The Sky Striker player looks at his hand, says 5 green cards, and he's like, Nani! Just
So, I mean, unless I'm forgetting something, those are the clean front runners like for this format. Now, this is the time if you want to play some jank, if you want to play something that you're comfortable with, but you know it's not the best, like play it now before the format gets defined. That's always
bro, I think Rogue's gonna be crazy. All the cards that make the cards suck are gone. It's a new game, boys.
Yeah, Rogue, when you have a format like the one I think we're going into where nothing is like super oppressive, Rogue is always my choice because you can play. You might be at a disadvantage because your cards aren't as good, but you can definitely get some wins and have some fun. So,
do we still got a little time left?
Yeah, we got like 2 minutes.
There's one other deck I think that can actually be really good right now because it got completely phased out of last format, but I think it's like 100% playable now, and that's Infernoble. Because boys, I sold didn't get it, and we can do some crazy combos, but you still end on the same board.
Yeah, if that's your cup of tea, go for it. I'm not a fan of the iSold combo decks, and never really have been. But
the Infernoble cards are so pretty.
Yeah, they're pretty, just like Noble Knight cards, but it's not for me.
To be fair, Renaud's kind of bro. A Renaud adding back an equip spell is kind of crazy. Anyway,
but I mean that's pretty much it. We got like a minute left. Joe, you got any final thoughts or comments before I go on my shtick?
Well, before you go on your shtick, Infernoble best deck. Just plain Stahl's best deck. But Salsa's French got to go play Yu-Gi-Oh! And he got clapped by VFD one less time, proving he has no sauce. Let's go!
Piccolo, you have no sauce. Hey.
So, guys, it's good to be back. If you have enjoyed this, please remember to check us out. Same time, same place, every Monday, 8 a.m., iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, 10 a.m., YouTube, that's U.S. Central Time. And again, if you want to be part of the discussion, if you want to pick our brain, maybe get some matches in, feel free to check out the Discord down below. You guys are always welcome. And if you want some good quality Yu-Gi-Oh content, go check out youtube.com/The Duel Factory, for he will be posting a lot more than I will. So
Kami.
I will see you guys back here next week. Peace out.
Okay, bye.